Iran war shockwaves. Is the U.S. and Iran secretly negotiating a deal? The Middle East may be standing at the edge of a dramatic turning point. After months of rising military tensions, airstrikes, naval blockades, and fears of a wider regional war, a shocking new report has emerged. Iranian state media claims that the United States and Iran are quietly discussing an unofficial peace framework, a draft agreement that could reopen the Strait of Hormuz, reduce military pressure, and potentially change the future of the region. Within hours, White House fired back, calling the report a complete fabrication. So what's really happening behind the scenes? Diplomacy secretly moving forward? Are both sides preparing for another dangerous escalation? Today, we break down the latest developments in the Iran conflict, alleged secret deal, strategic battle over the Strait of Hormuz, why the entire world is watching closely. What started this crisis? To understand today's situation, we need to go back to the beginning of the 2026 Iran war. The conflict exploded after a series of military strikes involving the United States, Israel, and Iranian targets earlier this year. According to multiple reports, the region quickly spiraled into one of the most dangerous confrontations in decades. Iran responded aggressively. One of the biggest flashpoints became the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow but critical waterway through which nearly a fifth of the world's oil supply travels. Iran restricted movement through the strait, while the United States increased military operations and imposed naval pressure in the Gulf. Oil prices surged. Global markets panicked. Fears of a larger regional war intensified. At the same time, Israel continued strikes against Hezbollah-linked targets in Lebanon, adding another layer of instability across the Middle East. For months, the situation looked like it was heading toward a prolonged conflict. Now, suddenly, reports of a possible peace framework are emerging. Things get extremely complicated. The alleged secret deal. According to Iranian state television, a draft memorandum of understanding, essentially an unofficial framework agreement, had been discussed between Tehran and Washington. The reported framework allegedly included several major proposals: a reduction or withdrawal of U.S. military presence near Iran, easing naval restrictions around Iranian ports, a gradual reopening of commercial shipping routes through the Strait of Hormuz, potential access to frozen Iranian assets, continued negotiations on sanctions relief and regional security. If true, this would represent one of the biggest diplomatic shifts between the U.S. and Iran in years, and global markets reacted instantly. Oil prices reportedly dropped sharply after speculation that Hormuz shipping routes could normalize again. But then came the White House response. A U.S. spokesperson completely rejected the Iranian media reports, calling the document not true and labeling it a complete fabrication. That denial immediately raised new questions. If there's no deal, why are negotiations reportedly continuing behind closed doors? And why are multiple international reports still suggesting that indirect diplomacy is actively happening? Are peace talks really happening? Despite the public denials, several international outlets report that negotiations between the U.S. and Iran are still ongoing. According to reports, mediators, including Qatar and Pakistan, have been involved in efforts to prevent the conflict from escalating further. Iranian officials themselves have admitted that discussions are taking place, although they insist no final agreement is close. Meanwhile, Vice President J.D. Vance reportedly stated that Washington still hopes a long-term agreement can eventually be reached, but there are enormous obstacles. The biggest issue remains Iran's nuclear program. American officials want strict guarantees that Iran will not move closer to nuclear weapons capability. Iran continues insisting its nuclear activities are peaceful. Another major issue is control of the Strait of Hormuz. This waterway is one of the most strategically important locations on Earth. Whoever influences Hormuz can impact global energy markets almost instantly. That's why every military move in the region sends shockwaves through the world economy. And even though both sides appear interested in avoiding full-scale war, neither side wants to appear weak publicly. That's why diplomacy may be happening quietly while public rhetoric remains aggressive.